I
We are
fucking
living
love
in the.
both of them. Okay, how
Uh-oh.
do you get the link so I can tweet this boy out?
Uh-oh, we're live.
Don't worry, I haven't tweeted the link yet.
Uh-oh.
So people will just have to rewind to see this part.
Yes.
I'm
Hold
no-
on.
I'm nervous now.
Okay, 1 second, guys. Sorry, my laptop is very slow, which is funny because it's brand new. Jacob, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. All right. Welcome to another special edition of the Music City Drive-In. We've got Kenzie here. We've got our special guest Ryan. Um, and we are here to talk about the guilds. Guild Day, I guess. G Day,
Guild
if we want
Day.
to call it that.
G Day.
Where every guild decided that they wanted to just throw everyone into a frenzy and drop all their nominations in a single day. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Just going to go through those, see how it kind of affects the race from here on out. So Ryan, how are you doing today? This, I think, your first time guesting with us.
This is my first time with you guys.
Hopefully
I
not
talk
the
to you.
last.
Hopefully not the last. I talk to you guys all the time.
Mhm.
Kenzie and I just throw shade at other people left and right. And then Jacob and I have talked. And Jacob, you're such a nice person. And then I know Nicole.
Okay, now that
Ackman.
you said that, I have to come out and say something just
Okay.
on the air.
Okay.
I had some issues with Sundance, and Ryan was like, "Oh, hey, you can talk to me." When Ryan I entered the Zoom call, and Ryan had a 5-minute spiel of his just the nicest. I have to say, Ryan, again, nicest person alive.
Oh.
I still couldn't believe it. I just had to let everyone else
know.
know.
I have it now
who
live
doesn't
that
know.
you said that, so we have it
Yep.
recorded and everything.
Now
Physically recorded. There's witness. You can't.
Yeah. Now Ryan's
can't
gonna go
take
be
it
a
back.
shit on Twitter and be
No,
like,
I'm
"Nope,
not.
look,
No.
I got this."
Nope, can't. No, I cannot do that. No, I refuse to do that because I don't want to give into any more of the toxicity than I have to. And no, I thank you for saying that. But it's really because I treat people the way I would want to be treated, which is treat them kindly and treat them fairly, and probably give them way more grace and latitude than probably they ever deserve. And you guys have been nothing but nice to me. So there's no reason right now really in the world to be rude to anybody.
Truly.
So especially since we're all just trying to talk about movies, trying to get help. And there were so many people that when I first started that, helped me out even for how to get tickets to this festival and how to do this and stuff. So when you asked, I was like, obviously, for sure. And I follow you guys and I watch all your videos and live streams and stuff. And so it was a super easy decision to talk to you, my friend, for sure.
Right.
I love that. And then also just want to shout out, today's a very special day for In Session.
It is.
Yes.
It is. It's our
9 years.
9 years. I have not been
Amazing.
there 9 years. This will be sort of like my 4.5, 5th year with the website. We just wrapped up our 2021 campaign. We did our 9 hours worth of podcasting when you combine the 2 episodes of our award show and then our top 10 of the year. So, and it's a lot. But when I was thinking about it, Film Spotting, they do their thank you, Geekly Gods. But I remember Film Spotting does theirs over 3 or 4 episodes, and so we just condense the episodes down to that. But no, I shout out to JD and Brendan who weirdly out of the blue invited me because I had JD on an old podcast, and none of you guys can find that because I deleted all that audio because it was an awful show. And I just remember them inviting me on, and I had never met Jay, who's my co-host, and it was sort of just trial by combat. And now it's my favorite thing I do every single week is to go and do that show and all that stuff. So yeah, In Session Film, doing it now 5 years. It's nuts. It's insane.
That's amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
I personally am a huge fan of really long podcasts because I have a baby and I listen to them with her. And it's so annoying when you're listening to one that's really short because it doesn't just like automatically play what you have next.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, the really long ones, I can just push play and not worry about it.
Well,
So
I think
very
Kenzie,
big
you're a
fan.
fan of like any podcast I do because like I'm notorious for like being on like
Yeah, like I
ridiculously long
recorded
podcasts.
one with Eric Anderson and it was like very long. And he's like, that was great. I'm like, honestly, anything I'm on is very long because I talk. I talk.
You were on with Eric. Ugh,
Ugh.
ugh. You
Let
took
me
the
know.
mantle of having to put up with him today. I guess. No,
Like first thing in the morning.
no, I love Eric and writing
The
for him
best.
over the last year and a half, 2 years it's fantastic. And yeah, I covered Sundance for him, and that was such a thrill. And he's as you know, Kenzie, as you know, Jacob, he's like the nicest person on the planet. You think I'm nice, like he's beyond that. He doesn't have to put up with me or any of my shenanigans and stuff.
I hope he's watching this, but he's like so nice to the point where I like feel like he like doesn't like me a little bit sometimes. And I'm like, oh my god, like
No,
if he's like, yeah,
he genuinely, you'll know if he doesn't like you because he won't reply. To be fair,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Leo here. Some funny comments from Leo here. Just saying.
We love Spider-Man No Way Home. I had a dream about like not about Spider-Man. I had a dream about like defending its like Best Picture honor last night. It was so weird.
You're funny. Okay, let's start with the Writers Guild. First off, I want to just go over what was not eligible before we break down, because I think like every year, Tyler, dear Evan Hansen is not eligible for anything. Anyway, I don't know if it was eligible. I'm just clarifying for anyone listening. So for adapted, Cyrano, Drive My Car, The Lost Daughter, Passing, and The Power of the Dog were not eligible. So that freed up at least 2 spaces. I don't think anything else that was ineligible would have gotten in.
No.
Do you guys agree?
Mm-hmm. Have we confirmed Cyrano's not eligible because they won't release the movie? They keep pushing it back.
Can we talk about like that's like the one movie I've actually seen, and then like it just is like not getting anything because it just won't come out, and I was talking about this earlier. Okay, so I never go to the movie theater because I have a baby. But so I've been, I think, 4 times since I gave birth, and all 4 times, and let's just say they were November, December, and then January. All 4 times I've seen the trailer for Cyrano, and I'm like, It doesn't have a date. Like, it doesn't have a date in the trailer, and I'm like, that's not an accident.
No.
Like,
I saw a trailer for it on TV today.
Did it have a date?
Yes, February 25th.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've had the poster up for a long time, and it was like December 31st, and then they pushed it back to Valentine's Day weekend, which made sense.
Valentine's Day made sense. I was like, that I will bite.
And then they pushed it back again to February 25th. So we're hoping that the
movie
comes
is.
Out,
I was so lucky to have seen it back in October, and it's been just like lingering in my mind for months, and I wanted to see it before our end of the year awards at In Session Film, and then because I didn't have a screener for it, and I wanted to see it in the theaters, and it was going to come out like that same weekend we did the awards, and then it delayed and delayed and delayed, and I've been having my family ask like, "Is that movie coming out or not?" And but it's so good, it's worth the wait. I know everybody wants to either see it or see it again, but it's so good, and if it doesn't get nominations, it'll be very sad for like Dinklage, and I mean it's not eligible for
Glenn Hansard for his one verse.
Yeah. Oh my god, when that happens in the movie, just
seeing him, I've cheered,
bawling. In the
so
theater.
like, I'm not a big musical person, and I'm not actually a big Joe Wright person. But like when they said Joe Wright was making a musical, I was like, he might be onto something. Like because I don't really like his movies. I mean, there's a couple I really love, but I just like they're not like my favorite the way everyone's obsessed with them. And then don't even get me started on Darkest Hour. But
You didn't love Woman in the Window?
listen, top 10. No. But I was really excited. And then when I saw it, because that was something I made sure I finished before I made like a top 10 list. And it didn't make it, but I loved it so much. And it's a really like great movie. And I'm sure it plays way better in a theater. So I'm happy they like stuck to releasing it into a theater. It's just like seeing Peter Dinklage get an Oscar nomination is something I would love to see. And I just really think he's actually worthy in this movie. It wouldn't be like a Peter Dinklage needs an Oscar nomination. Let's do that. And it's just like very strange what they've done with this movie. I don't know if it's because they're so focused on other campaigns that they just like fudged this up.
Well, like Amazon has that being the Ricardos and a hero. Those are their big pushes.
Yeah.
Is that Amazon or is it? I thought it was MGM.
No, it's like it was going on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken, for streaming. If I could be wrong about that, but they might be doing that sort of simultaneous thing. You know how they made the deal with Bond and stuff like that. Because I know it was going to be on like streaming at a certain point, and then they've been pushing it back and back and back. So
it's just very unfortunate for
just
everyone
release the damn
involved.
movie. There's nothing out right now. Release the damn movie.
Like, also, most people, if they're going to a theater, because like a lot of theaters here are re-releasing like old romantic movies in theaters around Valentine's Day, and I'm like, a lot of them are doing that because there's nothing coming out. Could.
How dare you? Marry Me is coming.
Oh, Marry Me.
How dare you? J-Lo's coming back.
I didn't realize that Marry Me was like a dual release, and I'm very excited because it's going to Peacock, right? Or is it Paramount?
Of course it is.
I think it's Peacock.
Okay, I hope it's Peacock because I've kept that for the Real Housewives.
Let me check real quick.
Yeah, Peacock.
Don't get me started on that. I got Peacock wait, which one was Halloween Kills on?
It was on Peacock.
I got the wrong one.
Did you get Paramount Plus and thought
yes.
and
then I paid for Paramount Plus and Peacock because I did want to watch Halloween.
So you ended up basically spending $20 that like
to watch a movie that I absolutely hated. Yes.
Yeah, because it's bad. You know.
But so I do think The Lost Daughter and The Power of the Dog are the only two from the non-eligible list that would have gotten in had they been eligible. But the nominees we got were Coda, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Tick, Tick, Boom, and West Side Story. What were you guys shocked by getting hit?
Jacob?
Honestly, I wasn't really shocked by any of them. I think it's nice to see Tick, Tick, Boom get in here because I don't think it's going to get the Oscar nomination ultimately. So it's like a nice, like, yeah, let's give him this. And then, of course, like The Lost Daughter, Power of the Dog, something's going to take over. And then Nightmare Alley was nice to see as well, because I think that's another one where it's kind of like on the cusp. And I do think that while I didn't love the movie, I do think it was a very well adapted screenplay. And so it was nice seeing that one get in there.
Yeah, I was shocked that there were two musicals.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I would replace because so many things were ineligible, but I was just not expecting two musicals.
I was hoping, however, for like a Green Knight or Macbeth or something like that to like sneak its way in at this one.
I was hoping like The Last Duel would be able to sneak in here.
I just finished reading The Last Duel, and very good adaptation. Let me tell you, I would have loved that.
My personal favorite adaptation of the year, because the feat of those three writers writing their parts separately and having to make that film and that script come together. It's if it doesn't work on the page, then it's not going to work because Ridley Scott is if he has a bad script, House of Gucci, then it's not going to turn out good. House of Gucci. So
Yeah.
you know,
I'm very much like a go the extra mile. Like if I notice someone's going the extra mile, I'll give them a little bit extra, like push. And I think with them actually taking that extra step, and letting Lauren like do the third part, I think was just a very great move. And I think
Lauren.
it did make
I mean, Nicole Holofcener.
Nicole, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know why I was thinking Lauren Holofcener.
You're so
I was like, Lauren? Who's Lauren?
Sorry.
I'm
My
like,
bad.
are you also rewatching The Hills? Like what?
No, but going that extra step and like letting Nicole take that over, I think was a really good move by them. And I think it really showed. I think it showed for a very good kind of like almost third act.
Yeah,
I
mean
loved that movie.
Yeah, no. Oh, it's so good. Like everyone should check that out on HBO Max.
For sure. I really think it deserves like 7 Oscar nominations, but what do I know?
Driver should get in for that. Or actually Affleck should be getting in for that and not the Tinder Bar. So
yeah,
because he's really good. But I will say I was you mentioned that Lost Daughter and Power of the Dog were ineligible. I think the other trendy one that's some people think they could squeak in as a surprise on Oscar morning is Drive My Car.
I am in that camp.
And that would mean that 3 of these films have to get kicked out.
See, that's the thing is I don't know what would be out. I know a lot of people keep saying Dune, but it's Eric Roth.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even matter about Dune being like, because Dune is unfortunately one of those above the line players that's just a lock in every category and isn't really going to win in any above the line awards. So I do think if anything, it could be the weakest in this category if it hadn't been Eric Roth. But because it's Eric Roth, I'm like, okay, I'm the biggest fan in the world of A Star Is Born, but like that script, like, but there he was. He he's a name check.
And then like West Side Story too, right? Where you're like, of course, Tony Kushner is going to, because they love Tony Kushner and his adaptation of this musical is it has him written all over it. But then it's like, okay, Coda's had a real good surge of late. Is that the surprise? And maybe Drive My Car doesn't get in here. Maybe The Lost Daughter does underperform. I doubt it. I do think it's going to get into the screenplay category, but that's a possibility. I don't think Tick Tick or Nightmare are going to get in just because I don't think that the script for Tick Tick is not the strongest thing about it. It's the performances and Miranda's direction, and the performance will get Garfield, and that's it, even though Robin de Jesus should be considered. And of course Miranda's, we'll talk about DJing here in a little bit, and that's where his sort of run of awards ends for him. But Nightmare Alley is a joke. Like that movie is just like being here. It's only here because of others being gone. The real winner of this category, which is Power of the Dog right now, is not here. And people are like, oh no, that's big for Power of the Dog. It's like, no, it just wasn't ineligible.
It's just literally the only reason. Like,
it's like, when like Tarantino's not eligible here and yet he's still
people are always like, oh my god, something else is gonna win. I'm like, absolutely
calm down.
Not.
But
it's always like that with WGA also, like just because of their weird eligibility rules. There's always like the front runners like ineligible for some reason, and then people start to panic, and I'm like, we do this every season. Please read the rules. Please read the list of what is ineligible. Like, relax. Like, it would have just been hilarious if people were like, oh my god, Nightmare Alley is gonna win. I'm like, Nightmare Alley isn't gonna get any above the line nominations. No, I'm so sorry.
It ain't getting picture. No,
it's not getting anything.
It's not. I hope it doesn't, because it's not a good movie. So
hey,
I just spit the truth. It takes years for people to figure it out.
I love it. Okay, so for original, once again, ineligible: Belfast, Parallel Mothers, Mass, Flea. Basically, anything not in English was not eligible, which is, don't get me started on. So our nominees were Being the Ricardos, Don't Look Up, The French Dispatch, King Richard, and Licorice Pizza. What do you guys?
So just take out The French Dispatch and put in Belfast, and that's your Oscar 5.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys both think.
I am upset that the French Dispatch stole what clearly should have been Come On, Come Ons.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think Ryan's right. I think put Belfast into that 5, take the French Dispatch out. I don't think there's any other way around it.
That is the Oscar 5 I have, but I personally feel like King Richard's kind of like shaky. Like
it's hanging on.
Yeah.
Barely.
So if it does fall out, what do you guys think is in?
French Dispatch.
Yeah.
I think so, because they've done that lone screenplay nomination with him before, with like Moonrise Kingdom, and the movie's it is Wes Anderson, and I do think it'll feel very weird for them to fall back on all these previous nominees in this, Academy friendly, because you have like Sorkin, Paul Thomas Anderson, Branagh, Adam McKay.
Your gritted teeth.
And then Wes Anderson, that's a very male-dominated original screenplay category, to be honest.
Super.
And a dominated white male.
Yes.
Original screenplay category. Because even like Jacob said, I love Come On, Come On. It's my favorite original screenplay of the year. And even Mass, you're just substituting 2 other white men in there for the other white men that we're trying to replace. And even King Richard, that is a white male writing that screenplay too.
Yeah.
So it's like I guess women and people of color did not write anything original this year,
which is
so stupid.
Watch more movies. Watch more movies.
It's ridiculous, but I would say it's probably French Dispatch, because I don't see Almodovar getting in there.
Me either, which is so disappointing.
It really is. But also too, like, people have had like this weird thing over the last couple of days where like, I don't know, I could kind of get in there. And I'm like, where's the proof? You have no proof to suggest that people are actually watching that movie.
The only thing that has been like not proven that I am confident about, I will get into with DGA, but there's like a reason behind it. Like people saying that Parallel Mothers is going to get into screenplay. I'm like, not only is there no traction, but there's also no like history with that. Especially given, like you're saying, if one of those 5 fall out, like who the other contenders are, I'm like, the person that's going to replace it the movie that's going to replace it is not Parallel Mothers. Like,
it wasn't even chosen for the international, was it? Didn't they choose the Javier Bardem movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. They picked what is that? Like The Good Boss?
Yeah. The one that like you literally just can't see in America.
The one that's like sounds like a CBS.
That show, Undercover Boss.
Yeah. Cross between like the good Wife and Undercover Boss, right?
Oh man, what a bad year for Javier Bardem. I mean, I guess he's in Dune, but I
don't know. I'm not the biggest hater of Being the Ricardos. I think it's a fine film. I think it's because it's beating out people's favorites. That's why people want to dog on it, and it's the whole Aaron Sorkin of it all, which is always funny to me that people always want to dog on Aaron Sorkin when like one of their favorite films of the last decade, The Social Network, was written by the man. But or another one of their favorite films of the last decade was written by the man in Moneyball. You know what I mean?
Steve Jobs.
It's Steve Jobs. People love that. So it's just like this new sort of, because their favorites aren't winning.
Thing as like, okay, Darren Aronofsky is my favorite director, but every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, you are embarrassing me. Like, stop.
He is.
And I think,
let me tell you the ending of Mother. You know what I mean?
Stop explaining it. The best part of it was not understanding it, and figuring out what it was trying to say. But it's the same thing with Aaron Sorkin. Like, I didn't really like Trial of Chicago 7, but every time he talked about it and like tried to like explain what he was thinking, I'm like, you're making this far worse. Like you're making me actively hate this movie. And it's like he's doing the same thing again. And then he's also saying like really problematic things.
Yeah. No.
And
Yeah.
then I'm just like, just stop. You were this guy like growing up on Wednesdays watching The West Wing was like a thing in my house. And I'm like, you're like putting that out. Like I don't want to watch like talk about you anymore. And it's like you were saying, like I love The Social Network, and obviously the best part of that movie is the script. And like Steve Jobs is one of my favorite movies ever. And I'm like, what, you're taking all of that away from me. Like,
Well, I think
just
I just think that like it's sort of that whole thing of like I review the film, and so a lot of his movies obviously have like his Sorkian sort of style. It's a lot of his style in it, but I with those films just go, okay, I know that the person is a bit of a nut job, so I need to throw that all out. And also, I walked into Being the Ricardos thinking, my God, this is going to be an absolute. Can I cuss on here?
yes.
Okay. It's going to be an absolute shit show. Okay. And I walked out, I was like, that's actually not that bad. And I thought Kidman was pretty good. And Bardem, even though he should never have been cast in that role, was very committed. And I thought the ensemble was very good. And I, besides the last 5 minutes of that movie, I was like, this is actually pretty good, and sort of a little restrained in the best direction that he had. And yes, then he opened his mouth like literally after the premiere and has been very volatile. And it's like, well, I don't want you to get nominated, but you also made a good movie. So I can't, it's that thing of like, you're a bad person, but yet you still make good art, in my opinion. It doesn't, obviously there are tons of movies that I would put in, even just beyond his, like get Adam McKay. I love Adam McKay. Don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up with this man. I loved his comedies. They're some of the funniest things I've ever laughed at. And I really like The Big Short. But Vice and Don't Look Up, I could throw those in an incinerator and burn them in effigy. You know what I mean?
Do you
and
feel
just
like
live off the flames.
disappointed that you liked The Big Short? And then I don't know if you felt this way, but I was excited about Vice. Like
oh yeah.
I love watching movies about characters I dislike, and I was really excited about it. And then I loved the cast, like Christian Bale, like it wasn't a fat suit. Like I was really excited.
No, it's because he's like one of our only method actors we have left. He's gonna.
It's his birthday, right?
Today?
Christian Bale's?
Is it Christian Bale's birthday today?
Or was it yesterday?
Was it? It was like, yeah, because I saw a lot of videos of him popping up.
It's today.
It's today.
Happy birthday,
Oh, it's today. And
Olivia
who else's birthday is
Colman,
it? Yep.
Gene Hackman.
Man, what a great day!
I know.
Olivia Colman
and Dowd. It's Ann Dowd's birthday today.
And Dowd.
Oh,
and she was so star Kid Cudi.
Oh.
Speaking of,
and Dowd though, very nice person. Very nice.
I love that. I love
The
Leftovers changed my life. So
she's so personal when you meet her. Like when I met her, she was like this close, and she's like holding my arm, and I was like, I thought I saw Jesus. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
And it was incredible.
Oh,
but yes, no, I agree with you. Like he gave me goodwill enough to go and watch a movie about fucking Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah. One of the most vile human beings on the planet. And I was like, and then it just like, straight up just like destroyed me in terms of like any credibility with this man. And then I watched this one.
The credits. Oh,
the God.
I was like, just shut up.
That really bothered me.
And then like I love Leo. I love J-Law.
I was excited for J-Law to be back.
I obviously Timmy, love Chalamet. I think he's a great actor. Meryl, legend.
I was excited
Blanchett.
for Jonah Hill.
Yeah, and Jonah Hill and Blanchett, and I mean,
honestly, I know this is weird, but Tyler Perry.
Yes, because when he works
in Gone Girl,
when he works with a good director, he's pretty good. Yeah.
So I was like, him with Leo and Kate, and then when that first still of him and Kate came out, I was like, them as a talk show duo, like absolutely.
And then we saw the movie.
I would your favorite movie, Jacob, with it's blanking. It's like they took it from my memory. With Jim Carrey.
Oh, the Truman Show?
No, where
Eternal Sunshine?
Yes, I would do that to get that movie out of my.
Oh, yeah.
First
You would
off,
do like the Men in Black neuralizer, where you would just
Mhm.
like erase your whole existence.
She takes in everything she has about Adam McKay. She's like,
honestly,
just out.
even I would give up The Big Short to get rid of everything.
Would you give up
else.
Anchorman and like Step Brothers and all those?
I would. I'm not a
That's
comedy
tough.
person, so
Okay. No, you're just a really
very-
funny person. You're a funny person. You're funnier than
I love like 3-hour movies, but when I tell you I paused that movie and saw I had an hour and a half left, I was like, absolutely not. I was like, absolutely not. And then I texted Jacob and Ricky after, and they were like, oh yeah, the post-credit scenes are so funny. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, I was like, I am not going back. Like,
Jacob, did you like the movie?
I liked it. So I really liked it.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
I didn't like it as much after my second watch. I dropped it down a little bit.
I didn't know that.
I dropped it down. I can't see where I dropped it, but I did drop it. Definitely out of my top 10.
Do you guys
that shouldn't be that should have like a child protective services away from your top 10.
Yeah.
You just take it away. You know what I mean?
Do you guys like have a panic attack that you're like, PTA is in a good spot, could win? I would love more than anything to see that man have an Oscar, give a speech, the whole spiel. Do you guys like have a panic attack? They're just gonna like give it to McKay?
Nope. Stop. Don't even start that.
No,
I'm telling you.
I'm
telling you, it's gonna be like the Joker, and it's gonna be like 11 nominations, and like it's not gonna pull The Irishman. It's not gonna pull Gangs of New York and go home empty-handed.
No, but it'll have Kidman.
No,
so that'll be its award.
Don't Look Up.
Oh, Don't Look Up. Oh, yeah. That's not gonna happen. No, because it's gonna need to land acting, and I don't think it's gonna land any acting at this point.
I do.
Unless Leo gets
Kenzie.
in.
I think
for
it's
Javier.
Leo. I think it's Leo.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a possibility. If that happens, I mean, it would. I mean, it did really well at BAFTA on the long list. So
it's that, and then I also have Leo getting in at BAFTA.
Yeah. But so if I got a question for you guys. So if Paul Thomas Anderson wins this award, does that do anything for you? Because Belfast isn't here. Does it just go, WGA doesn't matter this year? Or do you go, no, it's a little momentum for PTA, who lost obviously the Golden Globe, if that even matters. But
I think if PTA wins, I know it's between Belfast and Licorice Pizza. But if Being the Ricardos wins, I'm pretty sure Belfast is just winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he has to win for him to even like have a chance.
But I just didn't really I know we're talking about it, but I'm just like really like against using WGA usually as like a precursor. The only way I judge it is if like to see like, oh, that has like a really strong chance of being like second.
Yeah.
And the thing is about PTA, it would matter if he won, because like if he wins WGA, because it's like he is someone that you really want to have like an original screenplay Oscar, like so badly. Like personally,
I want him to just have an Oscar. I don't give a shit what it
personally, I mean, I would have preferred if he won a directing Oscar for There Will Be Blood.
Thank you.
This year,
or a writing for Magnolia, probably the best script ever.
Truly.
Or if he just, I don't know,
had any Oscar,
got nominated and won for The Master.
Directing for Boogie Nights, probably one of the best directions.
The Master should have been a 12 nominee movie.
I mean, or if he just, got nominated for original screenplay, maybe, or for Phantom Thread, because that script's amazing.
Don't get me started on Phantom Thread. When Phantom Thread like overperformed the Oscars, I was like, holy fuck, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then I realized like what it didn't get, and I was like, excuse me?
Well, he should have won director. So
agreed.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Del Toro's he's my number 5 in that category for me.
So the thing is, I would never take away an Oscar from Del Toro, but like Shape of Water, that's what we gave him.
I'm
an
just
Oscar
saying,
for it.
Pan's Labyrinth was sitting over there all those years, and you.
Pan's Labyrinth is like one of
Mhm.
the best movies ever made, and I'll never understand like just
you.
paying it dust. Like,
Yeah.
I think Pan's Labyrinth is one of those that like was definitely before its time, before like the Oscars took foreign films that seriously. I think if that got made now, it's in everywhere.
Well, if he went to answer this thing down here from Matt Anderson, if he wins WGA and BAFTA, it's over.
Mhm.
Like we can lock that baby up. I think, and I
because
think
If he wins BAFTA, that'd be insane.
because
That would-
okay, you
yeah.
guys like watch movies like Licorice Pizza, and then like just there's so many I can't even think about it, but like, and you're like, this is too American, and then on BAFTA it's like long list, you're like, Licorice Pizza's everywhere. Like,
yeah,
what?
Mhm.
Like because I
frickin'
really
loved
thought
it.
they were going to be like too American, not my thing.
Too
'Cause-
Californian.
yeah, because
You know what I
even
mean?
when I was watching it, I was like, I feel like a lot of this humor is very, I know everything about the valley, and if you don't know about the valley, you're kind of like missing the jokes. But then everyone I know that saw it that doesn't live here was like obsessed with it, and I was like, clearly I was wrong. Like,
No.
because there were
I
a lot
think-
of jokes
I think
about
if
like
he
where
wins
they
it-
were.
If he wins at BAFTA, it does two things. I think one, well, actually, it does three things. One, it's a giant upset on home turf that Branagh like gonna lick his wounds. Two, I think it solidifies him like at a 95% to win the Oscar for original screenplay.
Mhm.
And then it will easily make me go, well, Power of the Dog is the front runner for Best Picture. Because if Belfast can't win screenplay, which it desperately needs to couple at this point, because I don't think it's winning supporting actress, because that one's pretty locked up, I think. And supporting actor had missed both of those actors at SAG. It would take a massive blitz at BAFTA for that to change.
Mhm.
And Jude Hill's not getting in for lead actor, so we can just get that out. And he's not winning director, which we'll talk about probably in a second. But it would be it. And so Power of the Dog would then at that point I would be like, it's over. Let's give it to
call
Jane.
it.
Let's give it to Jane. It's not even this. Yeah, let's wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. This will be a quick Oscars.
Especially now, since like Belfast just opened up like in the UK, and in like 6 days it's already broken its American record for like money it made.
Oh, it did?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it topped the amount it made in America in there, and it's like still expanding theaters. It's not even like fully expanded yet.
It also would just break my heart if PT lost to Belfast script.
That's
Like,
the thing is like
just-
I'm not in the I'm not part of the I hate Belfast.
No, I don't hate it either. But like,
But
if
it's
of
the screenplay that I'm like, that's the weakest part of the film for
thank
me.
thank you.
And I just like when when they started like, I don't think Golden Globes is like a precursor at all. I mean, like in general, just the only thing that mattered about it was the speeches. We didn't get those, and they can't even really, other than West Side Story, use it as a we won this.
It would have
but-
been really good for Andrew Garfield, to be honest with you,
Yes.
because it would have been super emotional, and not having that to because he's had momentum, right? Because he's campaigning and Will Smith's not, to have like that moment of him.
Well, we
like,
all know why
dedicated-
Will Smith is not campaigning.
Oh yeah, because he's not vaxxed, right?
Is he not?
I don't know. I was
I
thought that's where you
was
were
just
going.
saying all his interviews where he was
Well,
like
yeah, he's
saying
also
really
like,
bizarre things.
yeah, I could also just, I mean, it just makes sense. But anyway, I mean, either way, there's a reason why he's not out there. You know what I mean? And doing a lot, like they were starting a lot of their campaigning for King Richard, and then it's kind of, they just disappeared. They're not doing anything.
So like there were a lot of screeners here in like November, and I was like, isn't that really early? Like,
Mhm.
and then they just kind of stopped, and everyone I know is like, I watched it on HBO, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're
They never
part
went
of like
to,
a body. Like, what
they-
are you talking about?
They
Like,
never went to Telluride. They never went to Toronto, never went to Venice, never went to,
and
like,
I'm like, given his history of being like in all the precursors and then missing the Oscar nomination, I'm like, is that really like the smartest thing? Like,
I mean,
what are you doing? because we all thought it was like a cakewalk. We were like, he has his memoir, he has that Netflix thing, he has that Darren Aronofsky produced Disney Plus show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, damn, like he doesn't even really have to talk that much. He has so much going on that he'll always be doing promo, and then he just isn't promoting any
Yeah, but
of
he
it.
forgot to mention that the guy that he's going toe to toe with, or two of the guys he's going toe to toe with,
Are the most charming human beings alive.
most charming human beings on the planet, had 3 films come out in the year. Oh, and by the way, they were in the biggest film of the year at the at the box office.
Andrew
That was
Garfield for
Spider-Man.
like
Yeah.
a series of time was probably one of the most famous people like in the world, because it was like, oh, let's see him on Spider-Man. Oh, he did another movie this year. So it's like,
Well, I think Cumberbatch too. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, that's-
Cumberbatch, it's like also like he is so good about talking about other movies. Like I don't like, I know he's doing all this promo and like he's doing a ton of campaigning, but he's also like really championing other movies. And I think people really love that.
yeah,
And it's just like, you can't ignore that. And
just
then
like
I also,
stealthily in the weeds, just
Mhm.
kind of like
like he's
my
not
movie's
being
sitting back here.
overtly, but
Yeah,
he's like, I am in the Best Picture frontrunner, and I was also in Spider-Man,
yeah,
and
and
I have my own movie coming out soon. Also, like he's also somebody I feel like a lot of people will be like, it'd be cool to see him have an Oscar. Like,
he seems super gracious.
yeah, like
That's why I've been
But-
saying that SAG makes sense for Garfield to pull an
Mhm.
upset, and BAFTA makes
BAFTA
sense
for Cumberbatch.
for Cumberbatch. And then at that point, holy hell, you know,
Like
what
Will Smith is like maybe a nominee, but like fourth like place, like
right?
Mhm.
Or maybe 3rd, 4th place, and you're sitting there going like, who wins?
when Andrew wins SAG and says, this is for the ghost of, oh my God, I can't even remember, Jonathan Larson. That's when we know it'll win. Once they bring out the ghost. or once
No.
they bring
He
out
doesn't have
the-
to bring up Jonathan Larson. When he brings up his mom,
Mhm.
is really when he's going to get a lot
Yeah.
of that. That's where I'm like, that's where I sit there and I go, man, all they have to do is put him on a stage. He's so charismatic. He's got
Mhm.
such a great energy to him. And then, yeah, it also is like in a weird way rewarding Lin-Manuel Miranda, which they haven't done yet. At the Academy, like, yeah, it just, I can see it. I also
There's-
can
there's like
see
like with Andrew Garfield,
Mhm.
that win for that role is rewarding so many different things that I feel like people are underestimating like how much weight that carries. And it's just like, who doesn't want to see him have an Oscar on top of all
Mhm.
that? Like, I would love it
Oh,
so
for sure.
much. And I didn't even really like love Tick Tick Boom. So it's just because I'm not a musical person. I'm very sorry. Very
Mhm.
sorry.
But no, I mean, like, I have had, this is confession time. I've had for the last 2 weeks dreams about Oscar night and Paul Thomas Anderson winning. And usually that has been a very rewarding thing if I've had those
Ooh.
premonitions. But it also,
Ooh.
like, my anxiety about that has been up the wall the last couple of weeks, because I'm like, please hope in the universe, don't let this happen to me. I don't want to be this disappointed, because this is, as you said, Kenzie, this is probably the closest he's been since There Will Be Blood
Mhm.
to actually winning one of these things.
Because like The Master was paid dust, and then
And
Inherent
Inherent Vice
Vice.
was a surprise that he got in
like
there.
you were like, what?
I
And
was like,
then
cool.
Phantom Thread was like, oh wow, really overperformed. And then you were like, he really doesn't have a chance to win director. Like he's just like a nomination we're excited about.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I do think people are really like, I think it's really important he wins WGA. I don't think he'll win BAFTA, but if he does, that's obviously like sealing it up. But it's just like he's one of those people that a lot of people that don't pay attention to this know his name.
Oh yeah.
And when you're like, you tell people, you're like, he doesn't have an Oscar. They're like, what? Like, so I just think he is definitely like the firm number 2 in this category. It's just like, WGA will help me know he has like a fight in him, I guess. But I'm too nervous to use it as a precursor. Also, I am the opposite. I have really bad dreams about people winning Oscars, and then it happens, and I'm like,
So that's where the Adam McKay, sort of.
don't worry. I have been a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan my whole life, and I was like, he's gonna win an Oscar for this fucking Joker movie, and then he fucking did, and I was like,
Yeah.
I did this to
And then,
myself.
and then it's just like, oh, he gets and wins for Joker, but he doesn't get shit for Come On. Okay, universe. For
That's what I
Come On,
realized. It's
like,
just about your campaign behind you and the budget of it, and has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, because A24 just sucks.
Don't get me started on A24 right now. Jacob pointed out something very distressing to me, and I.
Did you see those tweets today?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, I was telling Kenzie, it was like they really let the person who like created a hugely viral like tweet thread that they made into a movie go after them on Twitter. I was like, maybe not the best decision for you.
Well, it's also like too, like, yeah, it's the standpoint of like, you do understand where this all came from. It came from a misjustice and crime, and you then mistreated her. So of course
she's gonna call it out. Like,
call it out. She's got nothing to lose at this point. Like,
and also, it's not even that. It's like they have those books that are like the tweets. Like, and I'm like, was she involved in that, or did you guys
get any money for that?
Yeah, like, it makes sense. It's just extremely, extremely disappointing, because if you go to in case anyone's listening and doesn't understand, the woman behind Zola, the titular role, Zola, she tweeted today that she has not been invited to participate in any really events or award shows for the promotion or recipient of awards for Zola. And she is not complaining because I've seen a lot of tweets about this, that she's complaining about screenwriting credit. She is not saying that. She is saying that the movie's being recognized, and she is not being involved in the conversation or anything really to do with the movie, which is extremely disappointing, because not only does she have like story by credit, like there is no movie without her, and she's an executive producer on the movie, and that's clearly well deserved, and why the movie works so much. Like, as someone who really liked the movie, is because you could feel her involvement. And it's just extremely disappointing. And it's like, I don't know if they would do this to someone that was white. And it's like,
well, I was gonna say, I do love this movie. They invited Tommy Wiseau to everything.
Yeah,
the disaster artist was like,
man, you are not wrong about that.
He was at every single event. He was at. I saw that movie.
Yeah, they invited James Franco too. Yeah.
In the height of all that.
Yeah, like both of them are not like. I was totally kidding, because I know James Franco was a star, but also like, fuck him. But
in the height of all these allegations coming out, he was
like, let's give him a Golden Globe.
With his Me Too pin.
That was a joke. But no, like, well, first of all, just shame on them in general for not submitting it as like, it's an adapted screenplay based off of previously written material. Like
there are movies that are adapted from comic strips, not comic book comic strips. And there are movies that are adapted from like quotes and stuff. Like, there is no reason. Like, I understand people are against like Twitter, but it's like this movie was adapted from not only the tweets, but an article about the tweets.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
like,
if you can use the
basis of this is the tweets.
Yeah, if you can use the tweets in court against someone,
you can use them.
You can use them in a movie and get a screenwriting credit. And also, too, she's not wrong. It is the most nominated film by an A24 movie in the history of indie spirits. That's huge, given the fact that like they've had Lady Bird and Get Out and Moonlight and Beale Street and Eighth Grade and all these movies, right? That have everyone loves. And it's the most nominated film in their studio's history. And the fact that you, basically treated her like trash is. And
I'm sorry, it's not like A24 has a lot of other stuff going on right now.
They're not doing anything.
Yep.
They
They're promoting Lamb more than anything, and what?
They have changed a lot
Mhm.
since Tayback went to Netflix. They have seriously, as a campaign, just completely gone downhill. I mean, like, yes, I know Minari was just last year, but it was a very down year, and that movie really was a late breaker in people. Like, it had to linger and have its own campaign on its own. It wasn't pushed to the extreme that one would think, because, like, if they did for Moonlight, for Minari, what they did for Moonlight, Minari would have won Best Picture last year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's not even a question. But they didn't do that. And I think that people just saw Minari through the screeners, and it kind of got help organically rather than like a
And like
studio
the
actually pushing
cast
it.
is so like every single person is extremely charismatic. So like if they got in front of anyone, which was way easier last year because it was all virtual,
Yeah.
like they spoke for themselves. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
A24 really speaking for them, like, or doing anything on their behalf. Like everything that I saw was like Stephen Yuen. Like it was like just them campaigning themselves. Like I think Stephen Yuen got his own Oscar nomination without A24's help. Like
And I think him
honestly.
going on like Conan and talking about the movie did more than like
Yeah.
any event that they ever planned. you
Yeah,
know?
and
Which,
it's like
like,
that says a lot that we all agree that that's what happened. Like it's I
And
just
And
they have good content this year, so it's no excuse why they can't break into
I'm
this
sorry,
race.
like I was not really I was gonna watch Come On no matter what, but I was very like I don't really like child actors, like
Mhm.
not my thing. And that movie made it into my top 5. It's one of my favorite Mickey Mouse movies.
Great.
It devastated me, but made me so hopeful at the same time. And then when Jacob told me the interviews were real, I just lost it. Like
Yeah.
it is such a beautiful movie. And I think it's also a movie that, like, if promoted properly, you could say everybody really needs at a time like right now.
Yep.
And they could be doing something with that, but they're like choosing not to. And it's very strange. And the fact that BAFTA is probably going to give it like one nomination.
It's probably going to get in what, newcomer, right?
Yeah, I
I
would say.
personally think he's getting in
For screenplay?
for supporting actor.
Oh, for supporting actor. Oh, wow.
And
Well, I think B. Coops is getting in there. So
I also have Bradley Cooper in.
I have Bradley Cooper winning the Oscar right now.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Don't
would
tell me
love-
that. I don't want Troy to lose. I love Bradley.
I love Troy Kotzer, but there's just this like feeling that he wins SAG, he wins BAFTA.
Mhm.
That movie has done so well. Licorice Pizza. He's what everyone talks about. It's like
That's the thing. I didn't really love the movie. I loved everyone in the movie. I just want to say it's just the movie overall didn't work for me, which is really like extremely disappointing. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. He's one of my favorite writers and directors working. I just absolutely love him. It just like didn't go
I
all
get
the way
it.
for me.
Mhm.
But I
some
don't
movies
have any ill will against the movie. I just want to like clarify.
No, you
before
hate
everyone
it.
Comes to
You
me.
absolutely despise it.
I understand why it works so well for people. But Bradley Cooper is just like all their performances really work for me. It's just Bradley Cooper, not only the story about like nobody really knowing he was in it and then he just comes out running at everyone yelling, and like it's just the fact that he was able to like stay in that energy is just so impressive. And then also he is a real person that Bradley has met. It is like I can't imagine the pressure of that. I know he did not talk to him about being in this movie,
Nope.
portraying him. I know he does not know if he saw this, but I also just really love that if he wins, it would still be for A Star Is Born.
Yeah, basically, in a weird way. Yeah, it would
I
be.
will make it my, but no, it'd be really deserving. And I also think like people need to calm down. This is actually a supporting performance. And it would be
Yes,
really
it is.
great to see
There's-
someone actually in a supporting performance win supporting actor.
There's
We need
like
to get
four
off this
there's
train
four
of
separate scenes.
co-leads.
Oh God.
Like co-leads are not supporting. I'm sorry. Like
And that's why when Troy wins, it'll be amazing.
but if he lost, wouldn't you like it if he lost to someone
Yes.
from Licorice Pizza
Yes.
I mean, it
and
also
Bradley
could.
Cooper and all that?
Yeah, it just after I rewatched Power of the Dog last night, and as much as I really like Cody Smith McPhee's performance, and he's very good. I just don't see him winning it all at the end of the day. Like it just that is such an
Especially
internalized performance. You know?
Especially because he will be one of 2 people from his movie nominated.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
agree.
I not only have I said it from the first day I saw the movie, I have been speaking into existence since she became the front runner for Best Director.
Yep.
Yeah, the that whole Cody Troy scenario, taking Bradley Cooper out of it, reminds me a lot of the Maria Yoon last year, where it's like Maria's they're both kind of newcomers to the whole scene. Yoon was the older one. Who knows if she'll be able to get another one? Who knows what she'll be able to do with the rest of her career? This could be like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Plays a very sweet, charming, elderly figure versus
That is really similar. I didn't even think about that. That's
and then
point.
And then Bradley Cooper's like Glenn Close.
Yeah.
We were all like,
they're gonna get him
when we all
The
initially
thing
thought he was going to
is,
win.
Bradley Cooper is going to be a 9-time Oscar loser at the end of the season. And I understand most of them are not for acting, but it's just hilarious. But like, if he loses, I don't want it to be to Cody, who like has his whole career ahead of him. It's like Coda's not my favorite movie of last year. It's not in my top 20. I'm very sorry.
Man, Jacob just got really angry.
I know. He's like, you don't like licorice pizza. You don't like Coda. But
there's fire under those eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
but hear me out. Like my mom was an interpreter, like for sign language. She interpreted classes when she was in college for deaf students. Like sign language was very prominent growing up in my household. So Marley was like a huge thing, especially when she was on the West Wing. It like was life changing. But Troy winning would be like such a beautiful moment, and it'd be very well deserved. That movie didn't really work for me, but he is fantastic. I think everyone in it is really great. So I would really love it. And I do think it's very similar where you're like, how many roles does he have? I mean, I hope he has a million roles ahead of him that are eligible. But like, you think like that. You're like, how many times is he going to be in like a movie that's going to be nominated for Best Picture with this much momentum behind it? I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, but like, it's looking at having a very good Oscar nomination morning.
And
he's playing a deaf character.
Yeah.
Playing opposite of the
deaf character. Yeah.
First deaf
nominee
Oscar
winner. And it's like, that is just something I don't think you can ignore. And I think it's really important that if he does win, and be for something where he's portraying a character that's like authentic. And he's in a movie.
Plus, we know how much they love Marley. I mean, she presented last year.
Well, I mean, she started that campaign for that movie literally
before it came out. Like
her being there was not unintentionally, I think. But
she's been the biggest champion for him as well.
Oh yeah, she was on Colbert the other day. That's why I mean, like,
I think the second she realized she wasn't in, that she threw her full weight behind him getting in.
I think there's a possibility she could get.
She could show up. Yeah.
There's.
I think that's
absolutely
why she gets in.
If they love that movie,
I think
because
that,
it's played so well.
Yeah.
From what I've heard,
and I think like if you're like, I have the same top 3, like I have this top 3 locked, and then you're like, who else could I put in here? She's a very good name to like have like on your list of like, I'm just gonna write her down if you're like a dumb Oscar voter who doesn't watch every movie.
She'll play with audiences. Yeah, I mean they're playing. She plays well with an audience too, that of the older voters of the Academy that remember.
Yeah, like my parents love her. My parents remember her from so many movies, so many shows. Like, and like, I'm sorry, that West Wing variety matchup is just like.
She's I can't wait for that. But like also
not an accident.
Also too, like the thing with like those 3, McPhee. I know we got to talk about DGA here in a second. But because I know we were like, that's what we're here to do. But like McPhee, Cooper, and Kotzer, and even to a certain degree, like Hines, like Kieran Hines, like all of those would be like they all have a very interesting story, and you would be like, years later from now, they could probably reward Cody Smith McPhee again, but Bradley Cooper falls in that line too. Of we've said for years, oh, Bradley Cooper, he's got a long career. He'll win. And nine in, it's the same thing we've done with Leo and Amy Adams, and and obviously Leo finally won.
And Gary
But
Oldman is like one of my favorite examples of this. Like they were like, how many more does he have in him? And he was nominated like 2 years later. Like
right. And so it's always weird narratives to me. Like I always think about with younger performances, I always think of like Gabrielle Sidibe is one, or some people go like Quavejane Wallace, or we say that now, Matt, about Maestro, and then it's not going to happen. So watch.
He won't get in for director.
He won't get in for director again. You know what I mean? But no, I think of like Andrew Garfield's first time. We all thought he was going to get nominated for Social Network, and then it didn't happen. And then it was Hacksaw Ridge.
Not Silence. Not Silence.
And so it is a weird thing. And once they are nominated, you have to start thinking about that in there. But I also just go by, what do you ultimately think is the best performance? And all three of those performances are very good to great performances. I just think that Kotzer and Cooper have moments for me that made me both, like for Kotzer's example, made me laugh and cry. And Cooper, I was shocked, terrified, crying. It's like
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. It's like the culmination of his career, because he's great at playing assholes, and he's like the epitome of an asshole in that movie.
Like one of my first memories of him is obviously The Hangover, and I was like, you brought that back. You brought like every moment I've seen him on screen.
Wedding Crashers. Yeah, there it is.
So, so it was, but McPhee too. I mean, like, that's the best performance of his career, and I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that kid could pull off that kind of performance. It's just not a performance that gets rewarded a lot.
That, and then if you think about like who he is performing against, I am just like, it's just crazy to me. Like,
well, I think people are rewarding him because he's essentially the hero of the film. If you want to look at it like that. I don't. I think it's much more complicated than that. But it's difficult, that one.
The first time I watched Power of the Dog, I was like, wow, he's incredible. He's the standout to me. The second time I watched it was my girl Kirsten. But the third time I watched it, I think Benedict is the best performance in it. Oh, yeah. Especially like, I don't see Marvel movies, so I don't like, he has like large gaps of time for me.
I love that. No, I love that because that's such a breaking Jacob's heart right now.
It's all I do. It's all I do. His filmography like has like large gaps for me because he spends years making these movies and doesn't make anything else. So like when I see him, I'm like blown away by him, and it's like, it's crazy to me he's able to bounce in between these movies like and pull off such incredible performances. And it's the same thing with Andrew Garfield's Momentum, that I'm like, it just shows you how versatile they are. And I think like, I know some people will hold it against them, the Marvel thing, but I'm like, I think it should only heighten. And this is coming from someone who doesn't see these movies. I think it should like heighten their chances, because I cannot imagine bouncing from that kind of set to like Power of the Dog. I just think it might be extremely different. But
they're both like excruciating in like completely different
ways. And I think like that's so, and it's the same thing with like Tessa Thompson. Like she did Passing and then she went to go do Thor. Like I just think like movies, like I think actors that do both these kind of movies, I think it should only like help them, not hurt them. I don't think you should hold that against them in like a negative context, because I cannot imagine doing like Spider-Man and then doing this. And then I also think obviously the best part of Andrew Garfield's Oscar campaign has been lying about being in Spider-Man No Way Home. As someone who has not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, incredible performance. The more he talks about like, I lied to Emma Stone, I'm like, you talk to Emma Stone still? Like, just incredible work, truly. But I guess we should really segue to DGA. The nominees for feature were PTA, Licorice Pizza, Kenneth Branagh, Belfast, Jane Campion, Power of the Dog, Steven Spielberg, West Side Story, and Denis Villeneuve, Dune. Were any of these shocking to y'all?
No.
Or was anyone left out that you were like flabbergasted by? Like, oh my god.
Nothing was shocking. But even though it wasn't shocking, PTA getting in here is like very good for him. Because
Do you
I
feel
think
like
this
it's
is
good or do you feel like it's bad since the 5 never match?
well. See, I have a different director not getting in, unless they go your route and take 2 of them out. But I think the one thing everyone was talking about with Licorice Pizza was like, he's gonna win. Like he has a chance to win screenplay, this and that. And then him actually getting into director was like, oh, he's an actual director.
Contender.
Yeah, contender for not the win, but for a nomination.
Yeah.
And I think if he could have missed here, and I think if he did, it would have been over. But I think him getting in here helps him more than it helps someone like Kenneth.
Truly. Ryan, what do you think?
Oh, I was like relieved. I was like, thank God Paul Thomas Anderson got in here, because then I couldn't like.
Did you have a panic attack? Was Adam McKay?
I wouldn't have had a panic attack. I would have been like, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been just disappointed, as a parent would say. And I knew it wasn't going to be Sorkin, so I didn't have to worry about that. Because they didn't nominate him. No, they did nominate him last year, right? But for trial, no, he didn't get in for trial.
No,
he got in.
So it was like, if he's not getting in for that, he's not getting in for this. So we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, McKay was the one, but also I thought this isn't where Hamaguchi, which I think is what everyone associates the category,
that fifth spot,
the fifth spot newcomer international feature that I just kind of want to take credit for that because of the fact that
do think
not Hamaguchi, but the idea of like last year I was saying to people that we know in this award stuff, even to telling Eric, I'm like, if Vinterberg gets in, this isn't like just a coincidence anymore. This is an ultimate trend. This is a trend. This is a pattern. It's not a trend, it's a pattern. Yes. And when he got in, I'm like, okay, it's going to be like this every year. So you need to predict this until it's broken. And even if it's not broken, you still need to think about that, because the international branch has such a big part of this contingency. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson, Campion, Villeneuve. Then this gets interesting because everyone's sort of associating like, okay, is Branagh or is Steven Spielberg going to get snubbed here? I think it's Branagh. And because I think that they love Steven Spielberg, and it is such a big musical. Yeah, they've loved him for a long time. I mean, like, I know he got snubbed for the post,
that was the first person I remember my parents being like, the Oscars hate him, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like they love this man. Like he's won twice. Like, calm down. But like, no. And if like he cut the last 15 minutes of if he cut the last 15 minutes of Lincoln and just had him walk down the hall, he would have 3 of those, in my opinion, too. But
I love that we have the same exact scene, he would have won.
I still think Lee would not have 2. Spielberg would have 3, because it's so over. It goes to like Disney-ish.
Yeah,
it's so like Saturday afternoon special at that point. It's like, it's him not being able to show restraint and just be like, let the film, now the rest of that speak for itself. No, you have to then go and put in like 7 more speeches after like Lincoln's been shot. And so I think he's going to get in. Branagh, I have nothing against Kenneth Branagh.
It's the actor thing for me.
Yeah, it's that. It's the fact that like, it's not the most showy film. I mean, it's also, it doesn't hinder anything for Belfast, because if you look at Green Book and what happened to that. I just think that
there's so many locks that somebody has to be the weakest.
Yeah, he's got to be one. And like you said, DGA has not
lined up.
With the Academy since like the 1950s, and one's gonna miss, and it's gonna be a newcomer, and I think it's gonna be Hamaguchi.
Personally,
And
I
It's
have
also
two of the DGA
oh, you
out.
do? Who do you
Yes.
have
yeah,
out?
that's what I was alluding to earlier.
Okay, so I have Campion, Villeneuve, and Spielberg in, and then I have Hamaguchi, and it kills me, but I have McKay in.
You have McKayen over PTA?
I do. I think PTA is
History's
my
on her
6th.
side.
I think PTA is 6th, and then I actually think Cohen is 7th.
Yeah.
But like McKay, I think he's gonna go. I know it's not his 3rd movie; it's his 3rd like awards player movie. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna go
It's
3
his
for
3rd
3.
drama.
Yeah, I think like they clearly like him. I think Hamaguchi is in. I know there's no like other than that statistic. There's always like a newcomer or an international film, but I really think he's in, especially because I also think it's getting us. I'm not confident enough to predict screenplay for Drive My Car, but I do think I'm leaning that way.
Mhm.
But I don't think it gets that and then only international feature. I think it gets something else. And I really think like if people watch Drive My Car, that
Well, they don't even have to watch it.
they could just watch they can just look at the stills, honestly.
Mhm.
No, they don't even have to do that. They can just, because it's being talked about so much,
Just check it.
than all the other international features. Yeah, I mean, they do that all the time. I remember reading that article that came out the year 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture, and one of the voters went, I never watched it, but I voted for it. And they asked him why, and it's like, well, because everyone else was doing it. You know what I mean? So
it
is
just
takes
so
actually
sickening.
one.
Can you imagine like people like us in the Academy watching I watched Being the Ricardos. I watched like you know how many bad movies I watched?
Or it's
I know I watched Don't Look Up. So
I watched Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I don't
I
hate
made
that
my
movie.
daughter watch Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
And then I got yelled at that I don't understand climate change.
I'm gonna call Child Protective Services making them watch something like that on you. That's bad. Kenzie, we gotta have a talk.
We turned it around. We watched Melancholia. We were like, Melancholia is a better movie about climate change.
Yeah.
I was like, when is she coming? When is Melancholia gonna hit us?
Oh no, but I like
the Oscar nominations. That's what's gonna happen.
I think that. I mean, I think the two locks in the category, if there are such thing as locks, because I really don't. I hate saying that word so much.
It just is so final. And
yeah,
like,
it's so final. It's like the safest bets.
That's the best way to phrase it.
Are Campion and Villeneuve for me.
I do. Does anybody else feel bad that like if Dune had come out last year,
it would have totally won?
Yeah.
Not even close. Like Nomadland would have won Best Picture for sure,
but it would have been a split, and it would have won Director.
Yeah, he would have totally won. He's an idiot, like because of the fact that he wanted like, oh, I need it in the cinemas. You know what I mean?
It also was like, dude. I just like.
Well, like think about this too.
The same effect. Like it would have been re-released. Like it would have been re-released.
It would have been fine.
It would have been fine. It would have like. I just, especially like it would have come out again during the summer, like when theaters opened up again. Warner Brothers would have been really confident about putting in the theaters, like as like a go see this in theaters. It won all these Oscars. Like
I think a lot of these movies, if they came out last year, they would have won Best Picture.
Yeah,
like I think that
which is so funny that like the top contender is a Netflix movie, like that almost no one I know except Sophia saw in a theater.
No, well, I mean, if I had the choice to see it, I
would have, but
I would have.
I live in Los Angeles and I couldn't find it in a theater.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think so last year it was Nomadland, but like it really didn't have a stiff number 2 to go toe to toe with it. I mean, you could say it was Trial, but it wasn't really on paper.
We were all panicking. We were like, "Oh my god, Trial's gonna win picture and nothing."
I know. But then and then it didn't win anything. Like, thank God. But then no, it's like you look like The Father came in and won a ton, so like, you could make the argument it's that, or or you could say it was Minari or whatever. But like you look at it, there wasn't a real strong number two. If Belfast came out last year, or if Power came out last year, or King Richard came out last year. Like if King Richard came out last year, not gonna lie, I think it would have done a hell of a lot better than it would have this year.
Not only that, but like I think like it would have just been like it would have gotten into a lot of places none of us are predicting it to get into. And I think like all of it's like everyone promoting it. There would have been a lot more of Serena and Venus doing press like online because it would have been way easier. It would have just been completely different for King Richard, which is crazy because it was on HBO Max. So I'm like, how different would it like? But it just shows
but then it wouldn't have
everything.
Oh, even if In the Heights had come out last year,
West Side,
like West Side come out last year. Like if
West Side had come out last year, we could have been looking at Ansel Elgort being like a SAG winner. Like
yeah. I mean, that would have been it's all god that whole thing. Don't even get me started on that because I sat there for 18 months when all that stuff came out. I'm like, that's Steven Spielberg. He has the ability to go back and reshoot that entire movie if he wanted to. Like, don't tell me he couldn't. Don't tell me he couldn't.
Yeah. I say this every day because my friend really loves West Side Story, but she like has called me crying. Like I feel like I'm supporting him by loving it, and it's like I think it's very wrong that the women are being held accountable because he's not doing press. And I do think all of them have said dumb things, but I also think that minus Rita Moreno, that they are all very new to this kind of press, that none of us know what it's like to be very young and being questioned by all these people. And I don't think it's fair to judge what they're really saying. Like I understand, like I find offense with a lot of it also, but I don't know what it's like to be 19, 20, being questioned like this. And like with Rachel, I'm like, are you really taking away her first movie ever was with Steven Spielberg? And like she is a Latina actress finally playing like a Latina role that like was taken away basically the first time. And like I just feel really bad that we're kind of like taking that away from her. And every time she celebrates it, we're very aggressive and mean to her when it's like
that article
the most exciting thing about her in her life, and we're like trashing it because she cuts him out of photos. Like his crimes are not something she is responsible for. I do think they could easily just say, "Don't ask me, ask him," but he's not doing press.
No. He did do Corden,
like group.
Yeah, he's not doing them with them, and that's the thing too. Is it's like you have the chance to. I was very angry with Hollywood Reporter.
I don't think they should have been asked about it.
It's not
their cross to bear. Like
I think if anyone should be asked those questions, it's Steven Spielberg.
Yes,
it's
he
Tony
knows
Kushner. It's the studio. It's the producers. Those actresses have nothing to do with it. And
what was Rachel Zegler gonna say? I'm gonna like.
What was she supposed to say that's gonna make everyone feel better about it?
Like I don't think it's her responsibility nor any of the other women on set. I just
especially because it wasn't something on set. It was completely separate from the whole
not only not on set, the movie was done by the time all these allegations came out. And I think he clearly is a bad person and needs to be questioned about this and needs held responsible for this. But like, ask him about it. Like you're saying, Ryan, ask Steven Spielberg, ask all these people.
I mean, why didn't they ask him at the Q&As? They had him at group. They had him at group Q&As, both in Los Angeles and New York. They had their opportunities to ask him. They didn't do it, and so the media is just as complicit in all of this, in not sitting down and asking the fundamental questions. Like I'm not asking that James Corden go and fricking ask him, because James Corden's never going to ask him those questions.
Like a Frost Nixon, like
he's not like James Corden is not, like Anderson Cooper going to ask him like a legitimate news question, but like.
And also, we don't know if they were told not to. These are not like you're saying, these are not news reporters. These are like talk show hosts who probably signed a contract agreeing to I think like the industry needs to be doing more about it, because they're very very terrible accusations that like you cannot sweep under a rug. But don't ask the women about it. Don't ask actors about it. Ask the people that had the ability to recast him. Ask the people that kept him in the movie actively. Like, ask him. I don't understand. Ask him.
Well, also,
like
yeah, I mean, to ask.
a
This is what this
19-year-old?
is.
Isn't Rachel 19?
She's
Or she's 20?
she's like 2021, right?
She's
But
20. She just turned
but it,
20.
but it doesn't
to ask
matter
her,
it doesn't matter her age to me.
Mhm.
It what really makes me angry is that Latinos are having to make comments for the sins of their white co-stars. And you
exactly.
are throwing these women under the bus in their moment of triumphant praise. And this is the thing that has bugged me this entire season about West Side Story and In the Heights and other films, is that the media and everyone around its accessibility to want to just find a way to sidestep these Latino voices, because the fact that, like, I'll tell you, the number one thing that would have made me very happy about the Golden Globes this year was to see Latinos celebrated by an awards body for once. Because last year, when people said that the Oscars and Golden Globes and all these award shows were the most celebrated in terms of diversity, no, they were not, because Latinos were not represented in the room at all last year. And Anya
And
Taylor,
there were opportunities.
and if we're going to get into the colorism arguments of all things that canceled In the Heights, Anya Taylor-Joy is not the representation of an entire lifting body of Latinos.
Even she has said this, is what's so crazy to me about it. Like, she has said multiple times, like, I am not the person that you should be like, oh, we recognize Latinas. And she's like, and it's me. Like, she's like, no.
Because
like,
she doesn't play any Latino characters in any of her films. Not that she shouldn't, but she just doesn't feel comfortable because she's going to get questioned a lot about it.
Yeah,
which
and
is
it's
totally
like,
fine.
it's also crazy she has to say that kind of thing. Like, she's had to come out and clarify, and I'm like, that's not her responsibility.
Nope.
Like, that's casting and movies that are doing this. It's
also
just
this poor girl's first movie she's ever did. She was lucky enough. It's the thing of, there wasn't nepotism involved. There wasn't,
she just
like,
got this based
she
on
got
talent.
this for her working her ass off. She does that. She gets 2 other big movies because of the fact that she's impressed so many people, including one of the biggest directors living on the planet in Steven Spielberg. She's doing these, like, I'm sorry, between the Hollywood Reporters thing and then that freaking what was it, that other publication that tweeted or that did that article about, like, her
how annoying she is or something.
and how annoying she is. I was like, and of course it was written, no offense to all the white listeners out there, but of course it's written by, like, a white woman going after this Latino person, and
because
it was
that's
like
that performative feminism.
Exactly.
No
And it was,
offense to white women, but
I was just sitting there, and as a Latino myself, sitting there going, what the fuck are we
This wouldn't
doing?
have been happening had she not only been white, but if she was like Anya Taylor-Joy, like a white leaning.
This wouldn't be happening if it was, no offense, this would not be happening if
any
this
other minority.
I think so. I truly think so, because I think the whole colorism things from In the Heights, I think the way that this movie has been handled in terms of the press, I think it's been just a really angersome, vile way that the media has treated these girls. And yeah, Ansel Elgort, well, I thought he was okay in the film. Like, I thought he did a decent job, because Tony's a very thankless performance. I was, like, very uncomfortable by the fact that, like, she was like 19 when they made the damn movie, right? Or 17, 18?
I think 17.
Yeah,
I think she was 17 when it started. I think she turned 18 on
we want to
set.
get all mad at freaking Licorice Pizza and Red Rocket. What about the filming of that movie, which is supposed to be very romantic? And
it was like a real age gap.
It was,
like,
that's a real age
actual.
gap problem. Yeah, somebody asked Steven Spielberg that at a Q&A. Like, it's ridiculous. That being said, I mean, he could miss Oscar nomination.
Spielberg
got to transfer back over to, but like, yeah, no, I he could miss.
Do you think Branagh's the weakest, and then Spielberg? Yeah, because like Campion and Villeneuve are locks, and I feel so bad for Villeneuve that everything about Dune Above the Line is a lock, but not in contention
Right?
to win.
And he's
Like,
doing
Dune is a
so much
steady-
campaigning for everyone.
So much.
It's George
so
Miller all
much.
over again, where it's like everyone's gonna win all the awards and he's just gonna walk home empty-handed. It's Grand Budapest, it's Fury Road all over again.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel bad, but maybe don't be so mean about the way people watch movies. I don't know. But was there anything from first feature you guys were excited about? It was Maggie Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Hall, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Emma Seigelman, which is so exciting, and then Tatiana Hueso.
Wasn't Michael Sarnowski for
Yes,
Pig?
yes, sorry. Yes.
God, Kenzie.
And I love Pig. I love Pig.
Lynn getting in was amazing. Tatiana, Kenzie and I were talking about it. I loved Prayers for the Stolen. I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was gorgeously shot. I was so glad that she was in, just because that movie, even though I still hope it gets that international nomination, I think that movie has been kind of put to the side a little bit. And then the rest of them I've all enjoyed. But I think Lynn and Tatiana were my two where I was like, okay, this is really what I was hoping for.
I really knew that Michael Sarnowski for Pig was getting in, but it was really exciting. But Shiva Baby, I was really excited about because I was scared it came out too early and it would just get like crushed under how many movies came out later, and it just like wouldn't translate. But I love Shiva Baby. And then I'm just so excited, like, for how many women were nominated in this category.
Yeah, that was nice. I was like,
I think the first feature lineup is more exciting than the feature lineup. I know we have a lot of like big name directors, and that's always exciting, but it's just
it was good. It was a good spread of mix for like.
It was also a great mix of like independent films. We had an international film. We had a kind of a blockbuster Tick Tick Boom, which is like a higher budget film.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a great mix of movies. Also, it wasn't like the same kind of movie over and over again. It was like very different stories and very different kinds of films.
For sure.
But yeah. So are there any other directors you guys think are like on the outs of like bursting in before we?
So one director who I have no history to back it up, I'm going based on the films doing well. I think Sian Heder isn't too far off. I think she's at least in the top 8-ish, especially because I know Eric tweeted it the other day where it was like, it's been since like 1960, 1970 that there hasn't been a first-time director get in. And so if not
a first-time director, but like a new entry into the category, like a first-time nominee. Yeah.
And so if Hamaguchi doesn't fill that, I don't see, other than Maggie Gyllenhaal potentially, but I just think Coda is doing a lot better. I also have it right now. I have it as my surprise SAG winner, and so
Coda for ensemble.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
I have, because going up against, I don't think they're going to give it to Don't Look Up, even though Don't Look Up has the massive ensemble.
I think that's why they nominated it. I think for that same reason it won't win.
Same as Hasaguchi. And I just don't see Belfast winning SAG ensemble, just because it is so top heavy. And with oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and with because they both missed, didn't they? Both of the supporting actors missed.
They did. Yeah, they did.
And so I think, Coda really well loved, super just nice. Wasn't the one that missed anything it was trying to get, whereas like King Richard also missed supporting actress. And so that's the one I have right now, winning SAG. And I think if they kind of build off that and they get into it, it's, I think if they pull two
when
out.
Are the SAG Awards?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's like the only thing I haven't written down because everything has changed dates like 30,000 times. And then everything's the same day, regardless of changing dates. Critics' choice. I don't know what you're doing.
The SAG Awards are
February 27th.
Jesus, that's so late. My God.
I just am begging people to do things ahead of Oscar voting ending so I can use it as a precursor. Like just begging people.
So, yeah,
I think
so that's
Jacob.
why I have that one.
Yeah, I think in that sense too, because it did make it in its SAG ensemble. If it did make it in WGA,
I think she could win the WGA for it too.
Well, no, I was going to say is
potentially.
I was going to say is that I think you still have to keep an eye on Ronaldo Marcus Green for King Richard because that's
it's so funny. I think King Richard is the weakest to get an Oscar nomination, but I'm like, what if it wins WGA?
But also too, like, that's a person of color, and this would be a very white category this year if it just ended up being the DGA 5. I mean, yes, we had Campion in there, and that's female representation, but it's a very white category. Given the fact that like we had 2 Asian directors nominated last year, we've over the past couple, we had Bong the year before that, we had Spike and Caron, the year before that. So like, not saying that like you have to have a diversity slot,
but they do think like,
but you have to think about that a little bit. Yeah.
Of like Oscars so white, they do think about it.
Yeah,
like,
and that's the last.
It's like you're saying, they just check things sometimes, and they're gonna check the box of a name they don't know how to pronounce, unfortunately.
So if like Hamaguchi isn't there, because he's from Japan, Japanese filmmaker, if he's not their representation, then you have to look out for something like that too. Or Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick Tick Boom. Like it would be, that would be insane. But also he is a massive talent.
He is like someone I think a lot of people underestimate because I don't think people understand how important name recognition is, especially with like a locked 4. I mean, I don't want to say all 4 are locked, but it's like everyone but me is predicting 4 or 5 DGAs. So I just think like maybe name recognition is what puts someone over the top to that 5th slot. Like,
and if they love Tick Tick Boom,
because it overperformed for me personally on BAFTA long list, because it's
been overperforming everywhere. Like Coda and that, like Jacob's not wrong. Coda has been doing very well for itself.
Coda, I thought was like honestly like Troy or Merle or bust, and like it's been getting in everywhere, and you can't ignore that. Like,
no, you can't ignore it. Like BAFTA, and the thing about SAG too is with these influencers now in SAG. I mean,
Joey's article.
Yeah, reading that was like, shit.
When you think something is worst case scenario, and then you read something and it's like far worse than you could imagine, I was like, this is my worst nightmare. Like,
yeah, because like of the fact that like last year we were all like, oh, those anonymous ballots don't mean anything. What do they mean when it says that Anthony Hopkins is going to be Chadwick Boseman? Come on, that's not going to happen.
Craziest thing.
And then,
well, that's what I think. I think that could happen again this year, where it's like, I mean, you remember it last year. Everyone, Chadwick's winning, so I'm going to vote Anthony. Will Smith's winning, so I'm going to vote Benedict or Andrew.
And I also think personally that BAFTA is between Andrew Garfield and Benedict Cumberbatch. Like, not only because they're British, but like,
they're also extremely racist. Yeah, let's just put that on.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like they're gonna go for a white guy.
This is the body that's never nominated Denzel Washington. Like, let's just put.
We were talking about it this morning because that's what I recorded with Eric, was BAFTA predictions, and like, can you imagine if they don't nominate him?
If they don't, I swear to God.
But they nominate, like, okay, Widows is one of my favorite movies of all time, but that Viola nomination was just weird. So bizarre, and like, it's not like the movie overperformed or something, and
it was this low nomination, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, I know what you did. So if they don't nominate Denzel, who is pretty much like I don't like.
And
you
then
said,
they
I don't
didn't
wanna say
nominate her
luck.
last year for Ma Rainey, right?
Not only that, but they nominated Alfre Woodard for Clemency, which is like, I love that. I wish she was like in contention. Like I loved
Yeah.
Alfre Woodard,
But it
but
was
like
almost like they sidestepped and went so far against it.
it
that they
was just
didn't-
very like I'm like, you're just name checking like
Yeah,
a
you are
black
just trying to.
actress.
Yeah,
Like
you are
that's all
just
you're
trying to be
doing.
like that. Yeah.
But
No, but
I
no,
just
I swear to God, he's yeah. If he doesn't get in there, there needs to be articles about it because then I don't want to hear anything about like
the jury's working. Like
no.
it's
Well, I don't
not.
want to hear anything about also how bad Golden Globe is. Where like it's clear that an entire organization, like the BAFTAs, that we hold in such high regards, that have massive appeal both in the BAFTAs and in the actual Academy,
Mhm.
have this massive racial bias towards one of the greatest actors, and there needs to be a conversation about that. And if there's not, then there needs to be like the same things we did for Golden Globe that we did for BAFTA, because that's it's
the
one
same
thing if you don't
issue.
want to it's one thing if you don't want to do it 1 year. An entire 40-year career, get the fuck out of here.
And like
Even, yeah.
honestly,
Denzel's
like
out and Javier's in, and they're like, "Oh, but we did it.
we did it. We did something.
We solved racism, folks.
We did good."
Oh god. I
Oh.
just I it's also weird because I'm like Tragedy of Macbeth is like overperformed on their long list. Like, and I'm just like, if you don't do it, try me. Like, I just can you imagine holding something against Denzel?
I mean,
Like Denzel Washington. You're like the guy that like he's the most awarded black actor in Academy history, right?
correct.
He has to be.
Does he have a? Oh yeah, he does have two.
He's
So yeah, that would
supporting.
make him. Yeah.
I just
Yeah, two takes it.
two takes
Super
it.
high bar.
Two is what makes you the most awarded. Disgusting. Oh my god. I don't know. Maybe they'll go crazy. Maybe they'll actually give it to Will.
But we all know who's gonna win. Daniel Craig.
Oh God, I would love
He,
that.
I okay. I
Just
put
for,
that in
just
my.
for shits and giggles. That would be great.
I would just love if the BAFTA went like overboard on No Time to Die and like gave us no insight to the Oscars whatsoever.
Best Picture, No Time to Die.
I put it in my
Ana
Best
de
Picture
Armas.
lineup. We put her in our lineup. I think she could get Rising Star.
Who, Darmas?
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird when they give out that damn award because it's like these people
It's
have been
voted
around
on
for,
by
like-
the public.
Yeah, well, no, but like it's voted on by the public, and which was shocking a couple of years ago when like Kaluuya won, because I was surprised that like it didn't get hacked and Chalamet won that thing.
Don't even talk to me about that. I was like, Chalamet obviously was winning, and then I felt bad because I said that, and then Daniel Kaluuya won. I'm like, I love Daniel Kaluuya. I just thought all the Chalamet fans would hijack it. Like,
Well, Kenzie, just
as someone who spent like a solid year tweeting Daniel Kaluuya for Best Supporting Actor for Widows.
Oh my God, same.
I was like, please don't yell at me.
But like, no, I don't understand. Like sometimes when they do these, like, it's like the same thing at the Grammys when they're like best new artist. I'm like, they're on their third album. What the hell are we talking about? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Minus
like,
Allie from A Star Is Born. Truly her first album.
Truly her first album.
It took a fictional character to finally get that category correct.
For sure.
Okay, guys. Since we spent an hour talking about WGA, we will skip PGA. You're welcome. We'll wrap it up with DGA. Any directors you guys just want to like speak into existence their nomination before we go?
Jacob?
Mine was Xian, which I guess I still think it. I mean, it's not like a high chance, but I still think it is possible if, especially if the two movies that are mainly screenplay driven both miss. I could see Hamaguchi getting in there and Header getting in there, but yeah. Other than that, I don't think I. Oh no, I do have one. Pablo Sorrentino for The Hand of God.
Eric
Phenomenal
super
direction.
agrees with you. Eric thinks it's gonna overperform it BAFTA, and he thinks it's getting in for a lot more.
Jesus. Like that movie that nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
I made 3 people watch it today. I'm extremely impressed with myself.
I actually
I'm doing more than
like
Netflix.
I know, right? They should fucking hire you.
I saw that movie at
Jacob talked about it before anybody I knew. I will admit.
It's been a long. It's I saw that at Middleburg, and I remember one because the people in front of us, they like were so in the way that I was like leaning and like hurting
Don't you
myself.
hate
and my
when you
neck.
have a bad theater experience and
Yeah.
that's what you associate seeing
My
the movie
neck
with?
hurted for the next 48 hours because I had to read the
Like,
I've always said subtitles should
especially
be
a
at the
movie
top.
not in English.
I've always said
Okay,
subtitles should be at the top,
Okay,
not at the
so
bottom.
I watch everything with subtitles. Don't yell at me. I was watching The Real Housewives of Miami, and it let me put the subtitles on the top of the screen, and I don't know how I did it, but it doesn't do it for anything else on Peacock, and I cannot figure it out for the life of me
But it's the
how I
best.
did it. But it's life-changing because sometimes I'm feeding my daughter in her head's like where the subtitles are, and I am just a huge lover of subtitles. So I'm watching reality TV with subtitles, guys. Like, but it's been life-changing having on top of the screen, and I can only imagine in theaters how much better it would be.
See, I didn't have to look over people because when I saw it at the screening, and it was me in like the very middle of the theater, and then the Netflix representative in the back corner. And
Nobody
whenever
else.
whenever the sex scenes came up, I like looked over my shoulder to see if I could see if like she was watching or if she was on her phone or something. And I was like, like dipped down in my chair a little bit. I was like, God, I feel uncomfortable being like alone in this theater.
In the theater.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ryan, any director you want to speak into existence?
Oh, I mean,
Their nomination. I'm sorry, I worded that very weirdly.
I have 2, but they're not going to happen. It's just not going to.
Speak it. We're gonna.
Julia Ducournau for Titan.
Yes,
that is.
I have her in my BAFTA lineup because of their 3-and-3 rule.
For the love of fucking God, nominate her. Like, just
completely agree.
Throw a little chaos into the ring, please.
Also, the perfect like example of using a slot for a woman that like directed, like, because that's what they do. They use slots for women.
Like, directed her ass off.
Like, talk about a movie that's directed like
so confident, like the most confident direction outside of Jane Campion this year. And no, it's not just because they're women, it's because they fucking rock the house.
They're like, I'm making a movie with a capital M, move out of my way.
Yeah, give me my money and shut up.
Let me do what I came here to do. Like,
I didn't like love The Power of the Dog, but I have that scene where they're on the stairs and it does those like multiple crash zooms. I can't remember. I think it was
and then the other
Dunst was like
that, and the other just like the scene with Cody like following Cumberbatch. Like, I just there are moments in that movie where I'm like, you know, when you watch a movie and you're like, kind of like anybody could have done their thing with this movie. Like, I don't think anyone else could have made Power of the Dog so visceral, but like natural.
I mean, I just think of that scene where it's the piano and the banjo and the way she zooms the camera in perfectly to the right spot to see the piano, her face, to hear that, you know, it's very Hitchcockian, but it's also just very much Campion in her own right. And then like, yeah, the way she just settles the camera perfectly. And you see like when they're bringing the cattle in, like that beautiful shot that her and Ari Wagner created of those cattle coming down the hill. You know what I mean? Just, it's so good. Yeah. Every part of that is perfect. But yes, Ducournau, Titan, fuck yes. And then David Lowry. Like, David Lowry should, for the reason, he was my favorite director of the year. And I'm just going to say this. The man made a medieval masterpiece on a $15 million budget.
That's the thing, the budget. Can't imagine.
$15 million epic. And it's just as beautiful as freaking Dune. Even more so than I'd say.
And that not getting cinematography love is killing me.
Cinematography, production design, makeup,
I don't know,
score.
guys. I have it making of the Lighthouse
God,
surprise appearance.
don't get my hopes up.
I don't know
God.
anything about it, but I'm gonna speak it.
Have you not? Have you seen it?
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know
Oh.
any reason that would
Okay,
happen.
okay. I was like, Kenzie, please tell me you've seen that movie.
The Green Knight is in my top 15.
Okay,
Like,
okay,
and then David Lowry is from like the town next to mine where I grew up. So
he just seems like the nicest guy, making like
only heard amazing things.
yeah,
Like,
just.
But I
amazing.
talked about it this morning. His lighthouse themed Peter Pan is going to be unbelievable. And him saying it's his favorite thing he's ever done makes me so much more
what's
excited.
like insane about it to me, because
Yeah.
A Ghost Story, I know it has a complicated actor in it, but I just
He's got a
think
sheet over his head the whole time.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, that could be anyone.
I think A Ghost Story is one of the best movies about grief ever made, and I just think he is such a subtle yet visceral filmmaker, and I hate using the visceral word over and over again, but I just think like it takes such a delicate hand to do what he does. And I think like, especially with The Green Knight, it could have been very like cheesy, especially given the budget. And what he did with it is just like imagine, I know everyone makes fun of it, but imagine the washcloth scene or whatever with another director. It's just like, how does he include that yet make the movie like just so like, I don't know, it never loses its place. Like, it never loses what it's trying to say. And I think that's very important with like, especially like a medieval movie. Like, I don't really usually like those, but I spent the $20 rental fee on that, and I watched it like 5 times within 48 hours, like obsessed. The director I would like to speak into existence is not going to happen because it's going to get 0 Oscar nominations. It's Pablo Larraín for Spencer.
Wait, you don't think it's gonna you don't think she's getting in?
I don't have her getting in BAFTA, and I don't think SAG was a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Spencer is if anyone's listening before they yell at me, like, Spencer is my number 2 movie of the year. It's easily my favorite female lead performance besides Olivia Colman. I love The Crown. I love Princess Diana. I hold her very like dear to my heart. I don't think SAG was like at first I was like, people get in all the time missing SAG, but I like, critics wins mean nothing in an Oscar race, and I think she's missing. It's very unfortunate. I think the Twilight hate towards her is very aggressive with some people.
She's done such a good job too campaigning.
What is crazy about it to me is that, like, not only before Twilight did she make incredible movies like Speak and obviously Panic Room, and like she has a great resume before Twilight. She made incredible movies while she was making the Twilight series, and like I think she's always been an amazing actress, and I don't think it's fair to hold these like franchise films against people. And I know Twilight is embarrassing to people, but like, they made their money. They can make all these incredible small independent movies outside of that because they made their money. Like, there are so many movies that her and Robert Pattinson took way lower paychecks so that they could get made. And I think that says so much about them as actors. And like, there is a reason she has a César and no other American actress has one. Like,
no other American actor, period.
Yeah, like she is so incredible in that movie. But I think his direction is beautiful. I love his sad woman obsession. I can't wait to see who his third one is. He said
Britney Spears.
It's not Britney. It's not Britney. I want it to be, you know what? Just go for it. Make a Lucille Ball one. Cast someone we don't know.
Kate Blanchett to do it. Because Kate Blanchett was originally supposed to do that.
And
Oscar Isaac. God, no one would have a problem with that movie. No one would like that.
No one.
That, you know what, in all honesty, if
that movie's like best picture contender, best everything.
Do that, make it a Coen Brothers movie.
We wouldn't have to worry about the 5th actor spot because Oscar Isaac would totally get into that. And he would be a first-time nominee, which is insane that he's not a nominee at all in his career so far.
You know what's crazy?
Blanchett might be winning the 3rd one, to be honest.
Yeah. I didn't really love Scenes from a Marriage, but when I was watching it and I was thinking about him, as Desi, I was like, that would have been like the performance of his career up until this point. Like, and
Yeah.
it's so crazy because he has so many,
Mhm.
but like, he's an incredible actor, and he's somebody like, no matter what he really does, like, hello, what is that? Moon Knight? What is it?
Yeah, the Moon
Mhm.
Knight. Yeah.
Moon
They
Knight.
tweeted that trailer, and I was like, listen, you kind of got my attention, Marvel. Like, but the
Even
thing
got
about,
Kenzie waking up. She's like,
yeah,
hello? Hello?
hello. I think the thing with Spencer's direction is that I think it's very unique. It's what I want from a biopic. And when you first saw the trailer, I was like, it reminds me of Jackie, but it's not like a copy of Jackie, which like so many people would assume. Like, it's another woman who went through a lot of drama and trauma and horrible experiences in her very public life. And I don't know, when I was really nervous because Jackie's one of my favorite movies ever, that I would just assume I would like Spencer, but I absolutely loved it. And his direction is such a large part of that. I think it's really sad he hasn't been like even name checked at any place. It's crazy,
I
this like Chilean director is like so good at depicting women from like white women, like from very different places, and like Jackie, it's in the 60s, and like it's very different from like Spencer in the 90s and in the UK. He has such a delicate hand, and I love watching him make movies about sad women running. I don't know. There are so many scenes in Jackie and Spencer that I think are like paintings, and I don't know how he does that. And I'm gonna pretend I'm speaking it into existence, and it's not gonna happen. He's nowhere near the top 20, but he's great. And he's also one of those directors when he talks, it's the opposite of Darren Aronofsky, where I'm like, wow, I learned something new about your film. And just let
I
him
can't
make
wait.
another movie.
I can't wait for you to hear all those lovely conversations with Darren Aronofsky next year for The Whale. Like,
So when they
But
announced
see,
the
we'll
plot
have
of The Whale, I was like, I hope they do not let him speak about it.
just let Brendan Fraser talk. Just don't
yeah,
let.
I was gonna say we'll have Brendan Fraser to cancel it out.
The Mummy was like the most informative movie in my lifetime. My dad took me to see The Mummy in theaters like probably 15 times when they announced that Brendan Fraser was going to be in a Darren Aronofsky movie. I texted my dad, and he was like, that's made for you. My dad is very offline. My dad does not know what Twitter is. And Brendan Fraser is just very near and dear to my heart. But Darren Aronofsky talking about like a man in exile from being obese is not something
I don't want to hear that.
like. I love him. It's my most anticipated movie because he's my favorite filmmaker that's working, but like, don't want to. Before we go, one more time, Leo has a really great question. Who do you guys want to host the Oscars?
Oh, Jacob, do you have one?
Is Jacob frozen?
Jacob.
No, I'm thinking.
I swear your screen was frozen, but maybe you weren't frozen.
No, I took.
Hey, it was like this.
I took a very deep breath to try to like
in held position.
I don't know. Let's get Adam Driver doing his Annette
Oh God.
Annette
Stand-up
role up
comedian.
there. Yeah, just screaming at everyone. Oh no, I have no idea. I wouldn't hate Tom Holland. I do think he is charismatic, and now that Spider-Man probably isn't going to happen, I think it would be still a cool way to
Honor the movie.
congratulate the movie for
Honor the
bringing everything
film,
back
honor the
to
man.
normalcy for a little bit.
What is that
Plus,
tagline from?
It's from the I think it's from the Imitation Game.
Yeah.
It's
She
honor
was-
the film, honor the man.
Oh god.
Plus, you could get Andrew Garfield into it. You could get Benedict Cumberbatch into it. You could get Tobey Maguire into it. Yep.
Nobody wants to see his.
Okay, I'll tell
drunk
you
ass up there.
offline, but Tobey Maguire I have very personal experience with.
Oh, okay.
So I think if that you get Willem
I'm
Dafoe
not
on
even a
stage, you
Spider-Man
get Alfred
person.
Molina on stage.
What
Yeah,
you're
I'm not
saying, Jacob, is you just want the Spider-Man cast to.
I want the Spider-Man cast to all be on stage, as they're nominating Best Picture, and for them to just stay on stage
My
and
dream
accept
in
the
life is them
award.
to, since the Best Picture is a preferential ballot, my dream in life is for them to turn it into a thing where they're like in 9th place. I know. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it
Yeah.
would make the telecast very interesting. I've been
Well,
saying this
yeah.
since they
Yeah.
introduced the preferential ballot. I think it'd be
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well, I've
Ryan,
been
who
sa-
do you think would host?
I've
Like, who
been
would you like
saying
to
for
see?
that's a great idea, by the way, to like release it. But also, I've said for years that the best original song should be voted on by the people in the room during the
As the performances are happening.
Yes. Yeah. Make it a
Because let
live
me
vote.
tell you, when you look back and you think that Gaga did not win
For that
for
performance.
Till It Happens to
Oh
You,
my god.
nobody will believe you if they have
Nobody
only
would believe me.
seen the
Oh,
performance.
Especially
And
like Sam Smith winning for a like
he's like, I'm
last
the only
minute
gay
Bond.
person that's ever won. I'm like, you're
Yeah.
not, but
Yeah,
okay.
they were the last place replacement because they didn't like the Radiohead song that they did.
And don't
And it
even
was-
talk to me about that because the Radiohead song is probably 1,000 times better.
Oh, it's so good. It's like so like moody.
Don't get me
like,
started on Radiohead like Tom York deserving
Tom
love for
Tom York.
Hysteria.
Well, don't even get me started on the fact that like Johnny Greenwood should be winning Oscars this year, and instead of like Hans Zimmer winning again, it's like get the hell out of here.
I love the bagpipes, but like really?
But like, come on,
Really? Like
come on.
enough.
Like,
There should be a limit.
Like the man, like Greenwood did 3 scores this year. Like,
In
give him
1 year
something.
that are all great.
They're all great.
Don't get
Anyway,
me started on Bertel. The only good thing about Don't Look Up.
yeah. Ooh. Host. Yes. Thank you.
So good.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about Spencer. I would love Maya Rudolph because I
Maya
think
Rudolph would be so good. I never even thought about that in the Licorice Pizza tie-in. Oh
exactly.
My
She's
God.
already gonna be there. Might as well do it. You know what I mean?
That's great. I haven't even thought about that. That's a great suggestion.
She also has her SNL background. She could get like Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, Amy Poehler, Fred Armisen, Martin Short, Will Forte. She could get them all to come do it. Like,
who she's really good friends with is Katy Perry. Could get Katy Perry to pop in. I don't like her, but she's friends with Willem Dafoe now. I mean, wow. This makes my suggestions so bad.
I think Maya would be good. I think Sudeikis would be good because he's got such great
I've been saying
energy.
Brett Goldstein.
Yeah, that would be good though. I mean,
he has a movie podcast. He's clearly really well liked.
He would drop F-bombs. There's no question about that.
Yes, that's very true. But I really like.
They could fit it into the show though.
Yeah, just put it on a streaming network.
Barb and Star would be great.
I do like that,
right? At the Golden
yeah, they
Globe?
did last year. Yeah, that was fun. I think though the idea of Martin Short,
that's my suggestion.
And Steve Martin and Selena Gomez just makes so much good sense.
It's not only that it's like an ABC affiliate with Hulu. It's like comedian legends that like my parents love. You have Selena to draw in the younger crowd.
She could do a musical number.
She could do a musical number. So I'm not a huge Selena fan, but like watching that show, I was like, they have great chemistry, the three of them. A lot of
energy to it.
So much energy. And I just think that duo of Martin Short and Steve Martin would just draw in so many people. And like they are so funny. And everything I've heard is that like Selena like riffs with them like off screen. And I'm like, they wouldn't do a season 2 if they weren't like confident with like their chemistry with her. And I think like that would just be like, and I just think it makes the most sense because like there were those rumors that they didn't want Pete Davidson because he's on NBC. And I'm like, that's not true. They don't care.
They don't want Pete Davidson because it's Pete Davidson.
Yeah, that's the
like,
reason.
I mean, like let's
be honest.
I mean, like they don't want that.
They have
drama.
the Hulu tie-in with Kim Kardashian. Like,
yeah,
I just think that like those three are such a good like. We'll get the older crowd, we'll get the younger crowd. We can get a musical number out of her. Like, I do wonder about like her anxiety, but as someone with anxiety, I love the way she talks about it.
Yeah,
but
I worry about that. I mean, like,
but I do think like the sense that I feel about like Tom Holland, I'm nervous what it does to his career. I don't feel that way about Selena's. Like I feel the opposite. I feel like it only heightens her career.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, I just have flashbacks of like James Franco and Anne Hathaway, and like there was like a backlash against them. But
Not
it's
gonna
so weird.
lie.
I don't feel that way about Selena. I feel like it only like heightens her just
I'm
because
not.
of her company.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, Jacob. Like Adam Driver would be really good because he's fantastic on SNL
Mhm.
and he has great
He was
comedic timing.
fantastic with Kanye. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. I'm like he could keep a straight face with that
With
man.
all that crap going on.
And
Yeah.
he saw some things.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, you know, Adam Driver's like one of those like I'm gonna keep it all in, but when I get home,
his
I'm
wife
telling
probably hears
everybody
the
about this shit.
craziest
Yeah.
shit.
You guys don't even know.
And
But
I
like
also think Adam Driver is like hilarious. We just don't know.
he's just
Like
one of those like secretly funny people. And then like
Mhm.
when he
he's
does
funny to his friends, but not us. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, John Mulaney would be great. But
especially
they
because he's hosting SNL again.
yes, I mean he's fantastic. You gotta have somebody that also is funny doing it. Would see the like when he's done the Independent Spirit Awards, he's seen the films, so he will put in the effort and time
That's
to
the
it.
thing. Also, is like it can't be someone like. No offense to Tom Holland, but like
He
the
doesn't know who fucking
questioning of
Pedro
directors,
Almodovar is.
yeah, like you got to put in the work. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to be there, I need you to have seen the movies, and like the rest of the Academy members,
Why
like
Whoopi and Billy Crystal worked all with so many years. It's like they watched the damn movies. They knew the
their
assignment. And they
jokes
did
were
it.
superior because they watched the movies. Like they had a deeper understanding. And I
Yeah,
think
like
that's
Kimmel's jokes are like, oh, no one's seen these movies, right? Because they didn't make money. And
you
it's
know
like,
when you watch a talk show and you're like, wow, they didn't watch the movie. Like my favorite is Dakota Johnson promoting Suspiria and I'm blanking on the name. The one with Chris Hemsworth. It was actually really good.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
He
Yeah.
only saw that, but she was there to promote Suspiria at
Who,
the same
Kimmel?
time. Yeah, and they're neighbors. And he was like, "Yeah, Suspiria is so good." And I'm like, "That is not the way Jimmy Kimmel would describe Suspiria."
No.
Like,
That movie is, I would be like, Suspiria. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like
my second favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. So, but like, no, there's a ton of good options. I mean, like, I said this the other night on when I was talking with some friends of mine, and I was like, man, if he wasn't like semi in trouble for something that was totally not his fault and was just a misunderstanding, but like Aziz Ansari would be really good because he's got great energy on stage and he's funny, and a lot of people in
Ansari suffered from the timing of what came out about him. It
Yeah.
was not the actual claims against him,
Yeah.
especially because the girl has been like, it was definitely a misunderstanding since that came out. It's just like it came out right at the height of all of that.
It came out like at the same time as James
Harvey
Franco.
Weinstein and
Well,
James Franco. It was
and
like,
James Franco, and they lumped him in, and it was like, no. He
and I also
Yeah.
felt that Aziz Ansari's response to everything was just like really like genuine, and like he was just really like,
yeah, he's a good guy.
not even like apologetic, just like
like-
he was like, I genuinely misunderstood the situation,
Yeah,
and like
it was my bad entirely.
yeah,
You know
like
what I
he
mean?
was
Like, owned
not
it.
like
Yeah,
but he'd be great. And
but
it's
it
really,
but it really messed with him, and like he left the States and he lives in London now, and
yeah,
so
and
like
that last
he-
season of Master of None, he's like not on it.
yeah, he's like, I'm not doing it anymore. So it's like it's really I feel for the dude, and I think he's a really good host, and I think he's funny, and I think he would do a good job.
And he would watch the movies. He would watch the
he
movies.
would totally watch the movies,
And
If
he would call out any diversity, and like
he would be like weirdly like a less visceral version of Chris Rock. And I love Chris Rock. Like when Chris Rock does them, my God.
one of my favorite bits of like, I hate Oscar bits, but that bit where he went to the movie theater, which is in
both
Compton by
times.
my office,
Yeah.
he like that was actually really funny and like genuine and like a really great bit. I feel like if you have to do a bit, please mimic that kind of bit. Don't do
like
Gal Gadot going and giving out candy.
Well, also that always made me mad that they did that, because it's like
People are
trying to watch a movie. No, people are trying to watch a movie.
Like,
and then they interrupted A Wrinkle in Time. I'm like, Ava needs as much money as she can get for that thing. All right,
please, please let Mindy Kaling make money.
Yeah, it's like leave Gugu and Mbatha-Raw alone.
Oh my god, that was such a bad bit. All right, we've been on for 2 hours, guys. I let us talk way too much. See, Ricky takes the night off. I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
let us talk for an hour and a half about original screenplay.
Well, Ricky, the one this morning hit an hour, and I could see Ricky just like starting to lose it.
Let me tell you, 2 hours is keen. I love it. So, our special guest, Ryan, tell everyone where they can find you, if you have any plugs, which I'm sure you do.
Oh, wow.
Other than his amazing Nicolas Cage interview, which I have listened to
Talk
3
about someone who would
times.
put in the work as a host.
Yes. But
Oh,
I listened to it 3 times.
He's
It's such
probably
a
already
great
watched.
interview, and I'm just so excited for you.
Oh, well, I thank you for listening. It was an very surreal conversation, and he was so nice. We got to chat a little before and after, and he was just an absolute sweetheart.
Love that.
And yeah, if he can get nominated, my God, like I'm gonna take all the credit for it. But
You should.
as the one man like leading his Oscar campaign and
From the very beginning.
like I own all of that. But you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd and on Instagram at Ryan McQuaid77. You can follow my work over at awardswatch.com, where I just did like a plethora of reviews for Sundance. You can find my podcasts, the Extra Film Podcast and Chasing the Gold, that I do over at In Session Film. And then while you're at In Session Film, read all the amazing writers that are over there. They truly put out great quality content that just it makes me proud every single day to be their editor. And then you can listen to my other podcast that I do, which is called Busting the Block. I do with Kevin Lee, where we talk about the biggest blockbusters ever made, and we decide whether it should be made or not. So I'm not just talking about independent films all the time. I do talk about blockbusters. And then I'll occasionally write for like Film Speak and Film Inquiry. So yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on.
I loved it so much. I'm sorry it was last minute, but absolutely excited you said yes.
No, you tell me anytime you want me to be on, and I will come. And I need to get both of you on my show, one of my shows, so that we can chat all night long. We don't have a time limit or anything on our shows.
Absolutely love it.
Just have fun.
The best. You can follow me at Kenzie on everything except Letterboxd. I set it up for my daughter. I stopped using mine. Hers is Daisy Vanunu. She's the coolest 4-month-old you know. She just watched The Godfather Part 1 and 2. She's really cool. Please follow her. Jacob.
Well, if she's watched The Godfather Part 1 and 2, then she's done that before I did.
I'm not frozen. I'm not frozen. I'm
in shock.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Okay, for so long in my life,
having an existential crisis.
That's one of my plans this year was to get to them. Especially
okay, honestly, you just need to knock out all 3 in one day. And yes, I said the third one because Sophia's death scene is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in cinema.
Hey, spoilers, anyway. He hasn't seen the film.
I've talked about it before, and he never said that he had not seen any of it.
Well, it's also funny because I'm like very active that the 70s are my favorite decade for movies.
Yeah, and you haven't seen like the most popular film of that decade?
Have you seen The Conversation?
No.
Because the other day I tweeted, has anyone topped Spielberg, Jurassic Park, and Schindler's List? And Brian from Fandango really brought up to me, he was like, Coppola, like with The Conversation and Godfather Part 2. And I was like, excellent point, because he got 2 Best Picture nominations in a year of 5.
He did Godfather, Conversation, Godfather Part 2, and Apocalypse Now back to back to back to back.
Apocalypse Now is like one of my favorite movies ever made. My
big 70s director that I like deep dove into was Lumet. So
we give you a pass because you have seen like movies that a lot of people from like have ignored from the 70s.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get to that.
Thank you. Well, it's the 50th anniversary, so you got a big
yeah, and I know they've got the whole like
even Leo Apocalypse Now is a masterpiece.
I have seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Right.
Yeah, because I used that for my college thesis.
Nice.
And so So yeah, I have seen that one. That and The Deer Hunter and all those Vietnam movies. That's what my thesis was over.
They shot The Deer Hunter where my parents are from.
That's
Interesting.
interesting.
But yeah, other than that, you can find me on Twitter at tbear57. You can find all my work. I do have like a link tree available to take me to everything. My awards watch stuff, Music City Drive-In, my hidden remote stuff. I have been super into Sundance when I could, when my house wasn't falling apart. And
Literally, like
Um,
literally.
Mhm.
yeah, my pipes busting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I just, again, I want to reiterate everything Kenzie said. Love having you on, Ryan. Just always love talking to
Yeah.
you. Great writer, great everything, just great
Great
person.
person.
No,
Yep.
you guys are great. Stop giving me all this damn praise. Yes,
Ryan's the nicest person you could ever disagree with on Twitter, let me tell you. Like,
well, I don't usually ever disagree with anyone because
you're
it's
just
so
like
like I
movies,
said, it's
the power of movies.
yeah, the
Yeah.
power of movies. Like life is too short to disagree all the time about things.
Truly.
Especially when you know no one's going to change their mind.
No,
That's
especially
the
on
thing.
that side, no one's going to change their mind. And so it's
Truly.
like, and also 200 characters cannot contain an actual like interesting
Thought,
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I rather do something like this or write an article or write a piece or something than have to explain myself in a thread to people who are arguing if I didn't like this movie or that movie or
People
this
that just
performance.
search the title of the movie and reply to argue that have no
Yeah.
say in anything else.
Mhm.
Because usually by the end of it leads to like a very bad place or whatever.
I'm
So
just
Yeah.
angry and I'm like, I don't even know who this person with no photo is.
Exactly.
But it was so exciting having you on, Ryan, and I hope we can all do this again.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Since we have however long until the Oscars, guys. RIP. But make sure you follow everyone and tune in next week to the Music City Drive-In. Peace out.